Hey guys, and welcome back to the Mushmello channel. Today, once again, we're going to be talking about some Chaos Galaxy news, doing a little bit of a reaction and analysis kind of video, because Zach just released the first planet profile for the next set, which is pretty exciting. Usually, to build up the release of the new set, he has a planet profile for each planet, and this time around, he decided to start with Sheos, and Sheos is a fan favorite planet, really. I really love Sheos, come on. And I think the card reveals were actually quite cool this time around. So we're going to take some time to kind of discuss each one, talk about what I think their competitive viability is going to be like. So that's kind of the takeaway. That's kind of how I view the game. That's how I enjoy the game. And then obviously it's going to be all speculative. We don't know what other cards are going to be released in the set, and we don't know what the ban list is going to look like by the time this set comes out. So a lot of things could change. It's all speculation just for fun. So let's just kind of get into it. If you don't know what Chaos Galaxy is, it's a indie TCG made by Zach here. It's very fun and very cool. There's a link down below to a rule video and the Discord, where if you want to discuss and play Chaos Galaxy with us online, you can go ahead and do that. So let's get into it with the first card, which is Firebolt Inari. Firebolt Inari, 7-star, 400, 260. 400 is an pretty good, like this is like decent stat line. 400 gets over most things. 410 would make this a little bit better, but it's like kind of fine. And then 260 at the very least, make sure it doesn't get traded, attacked over by like 4 stars, because 250 is like a pretty common 4-star attack power. So these are like decent stats for the kind of card it is. But what makes it really interesting is the ability. So when this creature would attack and kill an opponent's creature, you can shuffle that creature into the galaxy instead. So basically, this means you're going to be able to get around effects that activate when killed. So, like some of the CBs, you'll be able to attack and then shuffle them back into the opponent's deck without them getting the effect. Obviously, it gets around like Shockafly, Walk-A-Man, all those kinds of things. And then it also prevents things that like do something in the graveyard, right? So it prevents your opponent from setting up bone ladders easily because you're gonna be shuffling their creatures back into their deck rather than sending them to the killed pile. It's gonna affect like stuff that happens in the guild pile, like Orbov Reboot. So it's a really interesting card with a lot of interesting applications, I think, and it's like solidly statted. And it's cool for a 7-star to be like this kind of design. So cool, unique, new. Pretty excited about this one. Not sure about like how good it will be, but it seems like it'll be pretty solid. Its effect is like unique enough that it should have its own niche somewhere. And then next was Treba. So Treba, 4-star Sheos creature, 220, 120. Pretty average stats. It has like kind of like a Mag Sprout stat line, so pretty similar to that one. It says after your opponent plays a creature during your turn, you can free play this creature free play this handy creature to a creature battle zone on your planet. So obviously the big ones are like Orbov and Paju are like the main ones that you think of when you see this card. So it's going to allow you to, if your opponent plays Orbov, you play Treba into like a battle zone, and then you get to kill the Orbov and then attack your opponent directly with whatever other thing you were attacking with initially. So I think the surprise factor of it to play around Orbov is kind of nice because maybe you are swinging with like for 4 or 5 points, and your opponent thinks they can get around it with Orbov, so they end up not playing like field or something, and then you play Treba to attack over the Orbov, and then you get your points anyway. That being said, like I think Orbov might be more popular in the future, assuming that control decks become stronger again. But even so, I think that this probably is a little bit too niche to see like wide success. Um, it's definitely interesting, and it's like a decent effect, but it seems too specific. The stats are pretty mediocre, so yeah, it's kind of just okay, pretty average card. Next is Scoria Carrier. So this is Sheos, 4-star, 160, 160. Once per turn, if you have 2 more zone Sheos creatures, you can draw 1 card. This card is really, really interesting. So pretty average stats, kind of even. Not they're like decent enough. Um, like stat lines. Like it's not like the thing's gonna die to everything, and it can attack over a reasonable number of things. Um, but the draw effect is like kind of insane, right? So I think with some of the cards here, we're gonna see. Um, I think Chess is building in a direction where like you're gonna want wider boards. So a lot of like 2 features boards are gonna be pretty common. Like Mag Sprout was kind of building towards that, and I think Scoria Courier is going to be like the benefit from that. So being able to draw a card every single turn is like really strong, and this also synergizes with some of the other Sheos tools like Firewall, obviously. Um, so like you'll immediately instantly get 1 draw off of this card if you have another Sheos creature, but then if you are able to keep it on the field with stuff like Firewall or Field, then you're gonna be able to get a lot of value off of it. So I think Sheos is gonna going in this direction where they're gonna try to create wider boards, and they're gonna try to um, hold that board to some degree at least, right? As opposed to like Polysium, who like usually just has 1 big creature, and that creature never leaves the field, right? So it's kind of interesting to see that Sheos going to kind of have this mid-range strategy where they're able to like establish this board and build advantage with that board, but it's like a different flavor than like the Polysium kind of mid-range thing, because Polysium creatures are more naturally bulky, whereas Sheos creatures aren't as naturally bulky. Um, so it's like a totally different like it's like a similar playstyle as far as like the goals, I guess, but like the way you do it's gonna be totally different. And so that's really cool. I think it's gonna be really exciting to see Sheos go in this direction. Um, so yeah, and this card's gonna really help them because it's gonna give them reward for actually building a board and keeping it. So that's gonna be really nice. And then after Scoria Courier, so yeah, this card's good. It's definitely gonna see play. I don't think it's not. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't see play. And then next we have Mouth. Wait, Mouth, 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 Mouth. We're just gonna call it Mouth because that is what it's gonna get called. Or Mouth Mouth. I think Fisher's calling Mouth Mouth. 6-star, 310, 310. This creature can enter battles 1 battle zone for every, and 1 per turn for every 3 killed Sheos creatures you have. So the stats are actually really good for a 6-star with an effect. 310, 310. Yeah, it's like weirdly overstated for some reason, which is fine though because the effect isn't super strong. Um, the main thing you'll see this card used for is like maybe a late game card, um, where like you're at the end of the game, you have 6 or 9 Sheos creatures the in the killed pile, and so you can swing for a 6 or like 9 points, 6 or 9 points with this guy like as an end game burst play. It could be interesting. There's definitely gonna be it can be fun to build around for sure. I think there's definitely potential with this card. I don't know if it's gonna be like competitively viable, but it's cool nonetheless. It's like an interesting kind of late game burst option. It can clear boards as well. 310 isn't super impressive, but it's like good enough that it can get rid of smaller things. So that's that. And next we have Wick. Wick, 110, 110, 3-star. If you draw this card through a card ability, you can kill it from your hand to replay 6-star or lower galaxy Sheos creature. So this card effect is actually really cool. Obviously, that's another part about Sheos is it's building to be a card that a deck has a lot of draw power. Obviously, the Sheos effect is obviously a draw ability on its own. And then they're getting Scoria as well, which is going to kind of create a planet that has like a decent draw engine. So that being said, I think Wick is probably not consistent enough to be competitively played. Um, because when you're like there are going to be times where you're going to be able to draw this card off of either one of the Sheos abilities or a Sheos creature's ability, or just through something like Relic Hex or Thornkelborg. And those times will be pretty good. You'll get a free play, assuming that your board isn't already full. But the issue is that when you draw this card normally, it's like really bad. 110, 110 is like a pretty bad stat line. having an even stat line on this card is like really bad for its viability, I think, because even stat lines on lower starred creatures are generally not that great. Even if it was something like if you just like moved some of the health to the power, so it had like a little bit more presence when you played it, that way it wasn't as awful as a card to draw, and I think it could be a lot stronger. That way when like you draw it off an ability, then you get like a free Melton on your board, and then when you draw normally, you have like a bad Macrabablab, um, like a really bad Macrabablab. I think it could be like pretty decent, but as it is now, I think it probably isn't going to see play just because it's a little bit too inconsistent, and when it doesn't like proc its effect, it's like pretty bad. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Wick. Very cool art. This is an amazing art. Crab Lab, we talked about this in the last video, so I don't think we need to talk about it again. Okay. Pyronist. Can I get a better... Yeah, okay. Pyronist, 50, 200, 3 stars. Once per turn, you can return 1 killed 5-star or lower Sheos creature to the top of your galaxy except Pyronist. This card is kind of interesting. Obviously, I think the intention is for it to set up Wick. But there's a couple issues with it. It is like... Yeah, so like if you play Pyronist and you put Wick to top of your deck, you need an ability that draws that Wick immediately. Which creates other issues because like if you... Because how are you going to actually do that? Because most draw isn't immediate like that. Like you can't proc Sheos ability on that turn that you play Pyronist. You can't, unless they kill Pyronist the next turn, then maybe. You can't play Relihex. You can't use Thunderbork or Walking Man ability. You might be able to use Cosmic if that's in the game at that point in time. It just can be like the Pyronist Wick combo is like not very viable, I don't think. And then as far as like other cards, you might want to recycle the top of your deck. Like that's okay, I guess. I can't think of a lot of 5-star lower Sheos features that are like super central to your game plan that you don't want to do this. But yeah. The other issue is that the stats are pretty bad. 200 health is pretty bulky for a 3-star, obviously, but 50 power means it's not really going to accomplish anything, which means you're pretty much going to be spending 3 stars just to recycle a creature, since Pyronist probably isn't going to kill much, besides like maybe a stray Thunderborg here and there. So yeah, I don't think this card's going to be particularly successful. Maybe you'll see some interesting stuff with it, but overall I think it's not that great. Okay. Now that's all the creatures. I think we had 7 creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 creatures. That was a lot of creatures. If every planet gets like a similar amount of creatures to that, I think this could be a very interesting set to once it's released. Pretty exciting. If every planet gets like 7 or at least like 5 creatures, could be pretty big as long as if they're all like as interesting as these, because all these have been pretty interesting so far, even though I think only like 2 or 3 of them will probably actually see play in like a high level competitive sense. They're all really interesting and have unique effects that make them different than anything we've seen before, which is really exciting. So that being said, let's get into the activator resource cards, whatever you want to call them. So Crimson Grenade. When your opponent attacks one of your zoned 6-star or lower creatures, switch the power and health of your Sheos creatures during the attack. So this is kind of like a makeshift kind of ghetto temple traps, which is going to be pretty good, I think. Obviously, Sheos already has a battle activator in the form of what's it called? Firewall. This is going to be another one to add on top of that. The main issue is targets for this card. Let's go to the database real quick. Back to the database. So we're going to look at Sheos creatures. Sheos creatures with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stars. Okay, there's totally a truck in the background. That's so bad. Surely that truck moves. Okay, sorry about that if it's on the video. So yeah, as far as like Sheos creatures less than 6 stars, like 3-headed Robact is like a good example of a card that's really going to benefit from this. Um, like some of the vanillas, like Bold Whip, Manflacky, Pyronite. Uh, what's the third one? Dude, I can't remember the third one. They might benefit from this. Fraxel could benefit from this maybe sometimes. 260, like a pretty big gap. But you kind of want Fraxel to die anyway, so that was Magmol. Magmol's the one I was thinking about. Graphiathex maybe benefits from this. Dying Sparrow doesn't really benefit from this. It's like 60 difference. Yeah, not really. Melton obviously doesn't benefit. Yeah, so basically you can tell here that there's like not a lot of great targets for this card. You're not going to get a lot of value off of killing somebody with Crimson Grenade. So you might be able to catch like a small creature here and there, like if they attack into your Monflocky or your you attack into their Monflocky or your Robact. But generally the creatures that benefit from this are not very good. They're like vanillas like Monflocky and Robact, or they don't really want to stay on the field like Fraxel, right? So this card's going to probably see play because it is so strong when it does work, but it is going to depend on matchups a lot, right? So like versus Pelisium, this card's pretty much useless since every time they attack, they're attacking with a creature that's like 1,000,000 attack points. So even against Robact, it's going to die. But I think this is a pretty good card, pretty as far as battle activators go, and it's pretty interesting too. It's a lot more interesting than like Firewall or Field or Temple Traps, where they're just kind of like every situation is the same, right? Temple Traps will always kill the opponent's creature. Planetary Field just stops the interaction. This one creates kind of a situation where, depending on the matchup and kind of different in the format, like this could be better or be worse. It could have more targets or less targets. This one just feels a lot more dynamic than other battle activators, so I'm pretty excited about this one. Not sure how good it's going to be. If Robact has like a relevant enough breakpoint in the format, then I could definitely see this game played alongside Robact, so you can get as much value of it as possible. But yeah, we'll see with Crimson Grenade. It's definitely a really interesting card. It's probably pretty good. We'll see how it actually impacts the meta when it comes out. Next star weekend, after the attack creature attacks and kills an opponent's creature, you gain stars equal to the killed creature's stars. This one's kind of whatever. Star gain cards in general are kind of whatever. If you compare this to like the best, most popular Star gain card right now, it's Star Dealer, and Star Dealer doesn't even see that much play or success. This one is like a little bit harder to actually get stars out of than Star Dealer, but like the potential peak amount of stars you can gain is a lot more. So yeah, just generally there's not a lot of there's a lot of ways to like gain stars passively just by playing passively, right? Whereas it's like a lot harder to manage cards. So spending a card to gain stars is just generally not very good. Starlight doesn't see a lot of play. Galaxy's Gift obviously doesn't exist. Collection Cabinet didn't really see any play ever. So yeah. Kind of snow striking card, pretty standard stuff. Not super relevant, probably in the future. Okay, and then the last one was Seal of Eternity. So this one's really interesting. It's an activator. It says when your opponent plays a creature activator whilst you have a creature in a battle zone, kill that creature activator. So obviously, first of all, this artwork is so cool. It comes out of the frame, it goes to the background, very good stuff. But yeah, as far as how it functions, it is basically the closest card to compare this one to in the current game is like Activation Activated Activator, or AAA as we call it, because AAA is able to stop a lot of battle activators like Beast of the Black Hole and Planetary Field and Point Turret, all those things. And then Seal of Eternity is also going to be able to stop Point Turret and Beast. But it's not going to be able to stop a lot of the other things AAA can stop. Like, won't be able to stop Field. It won't be able to stop Leviathan Crown. It won't be able to stop other AAAs. So it lacks that kind of versatility as like an all-around negate card, um, but it has this bigger focus on offensive pressure because of your opponent by being able to kill a creature that your opponent plays while your creatures are in the battle zone. So that means you'll be able to kill Orbovs. This means you'll be able to kill um, the cards played off of Chaos Beasts like Stalius or uh, Cerbram or Enox. So yeah. So yeah, this card is definitely going to be interesting. There's definitely some argument about how good it will be. Basically, the two schools of thought are that played alongside Seal of Eternity, played alongside AAA, gives you this really high cap on like the potential you can do by being able to negate so many cards. And the other argument is that playing so many activators is going to make your deck too inconsistent to actually be successful. So, for example, like Polysium right now, they already play like 8 activators. They play 2 Field, 2 Crown, 2 AAA, Pointer, and Beast of the Black Hole. So adding Seal of Eternity on top of that would be a third of your deck in activators, which, in my opinion, I think will obviously lead to less consistency, since activators pretty much always require other cards. They basically all require certain things to be happening and require certain game states to be successful, right? Like Field, you can play it whenever, but it's best played when you already have creatures on your board. Leviathan Crown you can't play unless you have creatures on your board. Seal of Eternity Seal of Eternity and AAA are mostly offensive cards, right? So activators always require something else to be going on for them to actually have an effect on the game. So if you just draw activators, then you won't be able to get started, and that's really bad. So the I think that if Spoons and Cosmic stay in the game, then I think it will probably could be kind of a problem potentially because Spoons is just so, especially Spoons. Spoons just adds so much consistency to everybody's decks that you can kind of play a lot of activators, but if you draw Spoons, you can kind of get away with it because Spoons just goes through your deck so fast and makes everything so much easier. If Spoons is gone, though, I think it's going to create a situation where it's like you either choose to play Seal of Eternity or you choose to play AAA, depending on what your deck is going to do. So more aggressive decks will play Seal of Eternity because they're more focused on battle kind of interactions. They want to get around stuff like Firewall. They want to get around stuff like Orbov, Beast of the Black Hole, Pointer It. They're going to be more focused on the battle side of things. Whereas a deck that is more mid-rangey or control focus is going to be more focused on negating things, so negating other pieces of protection like Crown or Field or whatever. So yeah, I think Seal of Eternity is pretty good. I don't think it's broken or anything. It could create this really interesting dynamic between choosing Seal of Eternity and AAA. AAA might just be better because it gets Beast, Turret, and Field, but it kind of depends on how the meta ends up shaping up once this set releases. So yeah, I think that's it. Those are all the cards. Thank you for watching as usual. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you want more CG videos. We're going to be doing more of these as Zach drops more planet profiles. And of course, leave your opinions on the new cards in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. Make sure to join the Discord. We have tournaments and stuff all the time. And yeah, see ya. Bye.